according to the clock. Wow. Okay, welcome to Small Business Center Radio for Small Business, starring Katie Sherratt from Starboard Communications. Take it away.
Hello, thank you all for coming, and Tamara, thank you for inviting me to do this. Be less formal because I don't feel as nervous now.
Yeah.
So I'm from Starboard Communications. We're the home of 95.5 Hits FM, Pool 100, and InQuinte.ca. We're also the home of the Market Charity Coffee podcast and the Bay of Quinte podcast, which I'm one of the co-hosts of. We've been locally owned and operated since 2002, and we've been operating out of 497 Dundas Street, like just down the road, since 2002. So this is actually a family company, and it's my family's company. So my parents bought the radio stations in 2002, and I've worked in different parts of the radio station since I was a child because everyone loves child labor. So I started cleaning the office when I was like in elementary school, and then I worked my way to road crew, and I was an administrative assistant for a while, and I have been a digital assistant, and over the past year and a half, I've gotten more into sales and understanding the radio industry as a whole. I come from like a line of radio people, so it's kind of like in my blood, although I don't think people really hope for that, but yeah, the kind of mouse, I don't know if this would work.
Oh, you'll just need to click on the, and then she'll be able to use the keyboard.
Okay. So what I like to go over is why we're named what we're named. So Starboard, a lot of people probably wonder what the heck it means and why we're named that. So our president, John Sherratt, spent time in the 80s and 90s sailboat racing. That's actually the sailboat he used to race on, and he's that man in the sunglasses in the middle. So on a sailboat, a starboard tack indicates you have right of way. So John wanted to have right of way when he started the company on its path over 20 years ago. Our team has a few more people than it would take to sail a boat, but we're still a small business. We have 25 people. A lot of them have been with the company since before we even bought it, but they're still helping us shape the radio and digital brands. So do any of you listen to 95.5 or Cool 100?
Yeah.
Love it. Okay.
In the car.
So I'm gonna go over kind of their formats, but you'll know most of it. So 95.5 Hits FM is your go-to radio station for all music, 80s, 90s, and now. We're the home of Market Charity in the mornings, and then we've had some pretty epic contests, including the Wall of Hits and Beat the Bank. And over the summer, we did 4 weeks of a Taylor Swift ticket giveaway, which got pretty crazy. Swifties love tickets. And then Cool 100 is the country station. It's the 5-time winner of the Canadian Country Music Association Radio Station of the Year. You'll know us for Lewis and McKay in the mornings and all the stuff they do, a lot of shenanigans. I don't know if you heard last year, but Lewis broadcasted live in his underwear from our parking lot to raise money for the United Way. And I think they raised over like $5,000 or $3,000, but it's pretty exciting, and it was a lot to see Al in his underwear, but good fun. We also have Paul Ferguson on our team with over 25 years of experience, and he's the 8-time winner of the Canadian Country Music Association Music Director of the Year. So I know we're here to talk about radio today, but I'm just going to touch on our digital news platform, InQuinte.ca. It ties to radio because it's our news team on the radio that updates InQuinte daily using their broadcasts, and then they find other stories. And we have reporters out daily. So Starboard Communication took on the adventure of InQuinte in 2015. We believe that in a time where information is always readily available, but not always reliable, that the information needs to be delivered by local reporters you can trust. Okay, this is one of my favorite facts about the Quinte area radio market. We have 2 independent media companies, so Starboard Communications and Quinte Broadcasting. We're the only region in Ontario in a market of our size that still has independently owned and operated media companies. Most markets of our size, at least one of the stations have been bought by a larger corporation such as Bell, Rogers, or Chorus. So I just think that's really interesting, and especially in our location on the 401 corridor, it's kind of unheard of. So local is really important to us. This is our, can I move them so you guys can see our super cool map? Just for a second.
Yeah, put it way over there.
Okay.
That's good. Yeah.
So this is our coverage map, and I'm a nerd for maps, so please enjoy it. What this is showing you is, one, we're a medium market, and that's defined by the population of our central market area. So that blue circle is our central market area, and is a population of roughly 128,000 people. What this means is that it's the area we can obtain analytic data from. So we use a company called Radio Count, and so does InQuinte Broadcasting, and they get us our monthly analytics. Do you guys use?
No.
No.
Too expensive.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that's really what that small area, they just have to have a defined geographic area that we can get analytics from. But then the red circle is our actual listening area. Hello,
Thank you,
Chris.
Katie.
So we broadcast from 497 Dundas Street, and we have a transmitter on top of our roof there. But then the big transmitter is in Sterling, so we broadcast up, the signal goes out to Sterling, and then the big transmitter sends the radio signal out. So what the red circle is that that's this area our signal reaches. So when you're listening to the radio, not streaming it, you'll be able to get a clear sound from your radio as long as you're within that like geographic zone. It starts to get fuzzy around Coburg, but that's the main area. This got really fun during the Taylor Swift ticket giveaway because you had to be within our terrestrial listening zone. So we had to use this map a lot because we were getting a lot of calls and messages saying, I stream you online, but I don't know if I'm in your listening zone. So we'd be like, can you go into your car radio right now and hear us? And they'd be like, no, but we're your neighbors in Toronto. And we're like, no,
No,
sorry. So that got super fun. I'm gonna go over some of the benefits of radio advertising. This is what we kind of focus on, but there are many more. So first is it has a target audience. Locally owned radio stations have a local audience, and this will allow businesses to target their marketing efforts to the community that their customers are in. Like even, so I'm thinking you guys have a lot of like tourists that are coming in, but a lot of times they're still tuning into local radio stations when they come this way. Also touching on digital, like a lot of our digital readers are from Toronto, which is kind of crazy. So you're still reaching a large group of people.
It's because they want to move here.
They do.
Yes.
It's really taking the housing. And then in the radio industry, we like to say that radio is anywhere, anytime. So unlike billboards or bus benches that sit stagnant, your message goes with the audience. And even social media that is highly present in a lot of people's lives, they can't have it with them all the time, where radio can be the background noise in a lot of people's lives.
The radio's always on.
Always. You'll see in our station, it's always on, and as soon as it goes silent, everyone's like out of their office. Like,
Yes,
what's going on?
Us.
Yeah, right? You're like, where'd it go?
the general manager
Yeah.
trickling down the corridor.
And then you're like, we're panicking, there's alarms going off. It's a good time. Second is a local connection. We like to say that our on-air hosts are the original influencers. So a lot of our day-to-day listeners are getting their entertainment, local information, and updates from the on-airs. So using local radio advertising ensures that you're using a trusted local voice that communicates, that communities feel a connection to, that can enhance the credibility and impact of your message. So this one is flexibility in terms of frequency. When you use radio, you can be flexible about how many times you're running your ad, at what times you're running them, which can help target your specific demo and increase the effectiveness of the message you're trying to convey.
So do you have any information on the impact, for instance, if you regularly run, 3 spots a day and you suddenly double that to 6, does that have an obvious impact?
Yeah, so I think about it weekly, but obviously the more ads you run, the higher your frequency is going to be. So we aim for a 3 frequency, which means people are hearing your ad, the average listener is hearing your ad 3 times a day.
Right.
So the more ads you run within the week, the more likely people are gonna hear your ads. It obviously comes with a higher price point, the more ads you run, but it depends, like for smaller businesses, I like to start them on a smaller schedule, and then as they build, kind of build them up with them,
Okay,
yeah. Does that answer your question?
well, I just wondered, I mean, from my own,
Mhm.
my own history with dealing with people to come to events and do things. One of the things about people in Belleville as well as in the county
Mhm.
is that they're sort of like General Motors, just in time.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that also the thinking process of what are we going to do? Are we going to go to do that?
Mhm.
And it, you know, if you're chasing them down for 2 or 3 weeks, the chances are that, oh, I can't be bothered. But if you go after them the week prior
Mhm.
heavily, that seems to
Yeah.
respond. You know, you get a good response out of them.
Yeah, and I'll compare it to when we do remote. So when we have a live on location, the week before they get 42 spots.
Yes,
Wow.
So we're
Yeah.
like heavy hitting them. So
Yeah.
I would say if it's an event,
Yeah.
like heavy up right before. We also have clients that'll run, say their event is on like a Tuesday, they'll run like straight Mondays. And that's kind of what you can work, like, you probably work with your clients, like trying to figure out what works best,
well,
but
I mean, in the process of elimination and sort of reading the enthusiasm after the event, I'm thinking,
Mhm.
this maybe didn't work as well as it should have. So maybe we should change the
Yeah,
plan, and I've come to the conclusion that I'd rather spend all the money on the week prior
yeah,
than spread it out over the 2 or 3 weeks before that.
for that, yeah.
You know, you kind of think that, the logic is, in general, I would say, 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time, just to get people thinking, oh, we better plan that.
But I don't think people are always paying it. I think there's a sense of urgency people
Yeah.
have now. So if it's an event or you want to get people somewhere, like hitting them hard that week
Yes,
or I've had
Yeah.
event venues where if they have events on the weekend, we hit them like Thursday, Friday.
yes,
And so it's like, they're like,
Yes.
oh, what am I doing this weekend?
yes.
So,
I think I agree with you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so immediacy and engaging, you can reach customers in real time and you can deliver immediate message. The other thing that I'll talk about more in a couple slides is that creative turnaround in radio can be quite quick. So we can update your ad as it's going, or if you need slight changes to it, it's pretty easy for us to update it in-house, and then you can get that new message running quickly. Does anyone online have any questions? We feeling good? Okay. Okay, so brand awareness and recall. A consistent presence on local radio can help build your brand awareness. Creative ads can also be memorable and enhance your brand recall. So I want to play a game if you're local. Can you finish this sentence? Don't be fussy, call. Right? Just sticks with you. And like, do you ever catch yourself like a ad will end and you can say the end of the ad with it? Right?
The HPE phone number.
Public health, yeah.
Yes.
We almost used that one, but we couldn't figure out the tune, so thank you for getting.
HPE publichealth.ca 966-5500.
See, they stick with you. And so an interesting stat is that radio advertising generates an average of 31% increase in your brand awareness. I am a nerd for stats, so you're gonna have to hear a couple of
Stats and maps.
Yeah.
Go Katie.
There's also a high return on investment in radio, which I don't think a lot of people realize, because you do have to put in a little bit more upfront, but the return you get on it at the end throughout is very recognizable. So it's a powerful tool for promoting action and maintaining a presence. It has a wide reach, frequency, and the trustworthiness results in a high ROI. So another stat for you. is that when radio is combined with digital advertising, radio campaigns can significantly boost online engagement by an average of 29%. So when you're using radio in conjunction with digital, you're gonna see a higher return from it. And then finally, supporting the local economy. I don't remember the last time Meta and Google supported the community or were in the community or bought from our community. We like to say that when it rains in Belleville, like our owner's head gets wet. Every one of our staff is in the community. We're part of it. We're volunteering. We're giving back to the economy. And when you're advertising with local radio, you're encouraging the local community to come and support local and keep everything within our area and support each other. So I think that's a very powerful benefit to radio advertising. More statistics. So Canada has the third largest radio market in the world. We're just behind the US is in first, and then China's in second, and then Japan falls in fourth behind us. Sorry,
Let's move our little black screen over.
you guys are moving again. So radio has the largest share of viable audience at 74%. So your viable audience is a specific group of consumers who are deemed the most likely to make a purchase of a product or service. Music streamers are also high radio listeners. On average, 76% of music streamers say they listen to radio on a typical day. So they're not listening to radio the whole time, but at some point during the day, they're streaming radio. And then finally, 63% of adults 18 plus listen to radio in the car. So that works out to 94% of viable share of in-car audio for Canadians on the move.
Looks like we have a question in the chat.
Yes. All good.
Okay.
Thanks, Roxanne. So I grew up in a radio family, and as I've started to learn sales, I've realized there's words that we say in our vocabulary that we're just throwing out at sales meetings that may make no sense to anyone else. So first is day parts. This is the different segments of the day that radio advertising is divided into. So you have your AM drive from 6 a to 10 a, your daytime from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., your PM drive from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., your evening from 7 p.m. to 12 a.m., and then your overnights, which are 12 a to 6 a, and then weekends are their own category as well. AM drive and your PM drive are your most popular listening times. You're catching people before and after work, and they're listening on the go. Rate card, so we have a rate card and it outlines the station standard advertising rates, packages, and availability options. So depending on what day parts you're choosing to buy, that determines like the rates you're gonna get, because sometimes they're more busy than others. Frequency, so we kind of touched on it, Ian, but it's the number of times on average a listener will hear the same commercial each week. We aim to get listeners to hear it 3 times. So that just depends on how many times we're running your ad and what your demo is. Or we're trying to hit 3 within your demo. 3 we kind of say is the magic number, because the first time they're not really going to hear it. It's just going to go past them. The second time their subconscious starts to pick it up. And then the third time they're actually hearing what you're trying to sell. Donut. My coworker finds this so funny because it's not a delicious food. It's an ad structure. So a donut is an ad with a hole in the middle. So it has a permanent intro extra. And then there's like 8 to 10 seconds in the middle that can be swapped out as often as you need. So I love using donuts for events, or if you have like promotions you run like different weeks, I find donuts work really well. So the next two I'm going to go into have to do with sponsorship, which I'll talk about in the next slide. But so a promotion is a marketing strategy to engage audiences, attract listeners, and promote interaction. So promotions and contests run for a shorter period of time. They'll usually be about a week to 6 weeks. So on Cool 100, the Taylor Swift ticket giveaway was a week, but on 95.5 we run Beat the Bank, and it runs for 6 weeks twice a year. And then a feature is a specific segment program that focuses on a topic, story, or theme. So these run full year, they run all the time. So these are like your news and your weather or your morning shows. You can sponsor those different segments. And then these are just different types of radio advertising that you can use. So there's the general brand sell, which is a produced 15, 30, or 60-second commercial. And these are kind of slotted in whatever campaign you choose to run. And they're pre-recorded. A sponsorship, this goes with the promotions and features. So you can align your brand with a sponsor or with a promotion or feature. And sometimes these just resonate with the audiences more because there's a lot of excitement behind it and they're kind of attracting listeners. A billboard, not a billboard you see on the side of the street. These are, sorry, I lost. So these are 10 to 15-second pre-recorded spots that play before or during a sponsored program. So you'll hear them throughout the day. For instance, this hour of the drive home with Paul Ferguson is sponsored by blank, your go-to place for blank. Similarly, a bit different is a live mention. It's also just a 10 to 15-second spot, but it's spoken by the on-airs. We use these for our morning show prize sponsors because when the listener wins, then the on-air reads specifically what the customer or the client wants them to know. So how are you going to incorporate radio into your marketing plan? This slide may look daunting, but or you may have a lot of it figured out if you have a marketing plan already. So regardless, when you're working with a radio station, they'll have a team of salespeople who are there to help you successfully integrate radio into your marketing plan. Also note that a lot of media companies may have a digital option. So for us, we have InQuinte.ca that can also be integrated with your radio and other marketing efforts. So when you start to work with a when you start your radio marketing with a salesperson, they'll help you determine a couple things. First is your target audience, and you may already have this figured out, like what your go-to demographic is. This is going to help determine what time slot and stations you're going to run on. Next, you'll want to define your goals, and then this will help figure out what ads you want to run, if it's a general brand awareness, promoting an event, getting people into your store on your website, and then that will help with creative as well. Similar to buying digital ads, you can buy radio by impressions. We can use our quarterly ratings and create a campaign that will get your business the desired amount of impressions you want over a certain period of time. Your impressions will then determine your budget, or vice versa. Your budget will help us determine the weekly impressions you can get. We know budgets vary and you have to take into account other marketing efforts that you're doing and how a radio budget can fit in. The great thing about radio is there's so many options that you can use. So you can do sponsorship, brand sales, live mentions, contests, giveaways, and they all have different price points. And then you can also start, say, if they have digital, you could start on digital if it has a lower price point and work your way up. When I work with a small business, I do like to start them on digital just to start getting that traction. And then as they grow, we grow with them, and it's kind of exciting to watch them like build their business, and then they get to be on radio. Like I had a client who was like, my dream is to be on radio, and we like finally got her there, and it was kind of like a sweet moment. Ultimately though, we want to see your business succeed. So we're not gonna pitch you something and hopefully salespeople aren't pitching you something that's not gonna work. Like sometimes people come with a budget and it's just not gonna give you the desired effect you'll want. So you kind of have to pivot and figure out how we can make it work and work with your marketing plan, or help you develop a marketing plan if you don't have one. Creatives at our station, the creative is included with the price of your campaign. So we have a copywriter and production person on staff. Does County FM same? Is it included?
Yes,
Right.
we have a very good guy who frankly can turn a sow's ear into a silk purse. And no, he's very good.
Yeah.
I continue to be surprised by him.
That's
And
awesome.
he's he can turn it around in about 24 hours.
Yeah.
Without pushing,
Yeah.
you know.
That was also one of my points, is the fast turnaround, like radio ads can be turned around in 12 to 24 hours. As long as there's like an open communication between you and your salesperson. They'll work with you to figure out what message and what kind of emotions and energy you want in your commercial. That'll get sent to copywriter. They'll create a script for you that'll get sent back for approval, which will then get sent to production to be created, and nothing goes on the air until you want it there. Another cool thing is that AI is starting to change the game a bit, because we may eventually be able to integrate voices using AI. So our office has been having a lot of fun with it right now, because we've kind of gone into use a program that can run just like little radio tags for us, but we're just saying mean things about each other using that voice. Not on air, but just sending it to each other as a little fun thing. Then you want to figure out your station and time slots. There's the analytic data helps us use this. A lot of the time, like a reach plan is a great place to start, just running Monday to Sunday, 6A to 12A. But you'll work with a salesperson to figure out when you're going to get the most traction. And as Ian was saying, like if you're picking specific days to try and hit, to promote a specific event, or how long you're gonna be on, and everything like that. We know you may have an existing marketing strategy, and we want to help you build that and add to it. So say you're running graphics like on socials or on a billboard, we can take the idea behind that and turn it into an audio. And then your radio commercial is aligning with the other marketing you're doing, so that it's cohesive across all the platforms. And then that will resonate with the audience more. And then finally, we'll determine your key performance indicators. So the metrics that you're going to use to measure the success of your campaign. A lot of people think radio is unmeasurable, and in comparison to socials, it's just a different form of measurement. We can sell based on impressions. So you'll have an average of how many people you're reaching throughout your campaign or throughout that week. We just can't give you an exact number at the end of it. The other thing that can be done is we can set up a page on your website that has a specific URL, and then direct people through the advertising to that page, so you get an idea of how many people are coming. We also use a program called Rumple, and they can set up in the back end of your site, so they can see how many people are coming to your website after hearing your ad, like 15 minutes after hearing your ad, which is kind of cool. The other great thing is radio. People are always going to tell you they heard your radio ad, especially if it has a great creative. People are going to come up and mention it to you. So the only other thing is just consider that marketing campaigns work as a whole. So whatever you're doing, like radio is going to fit into it. And it's all going to work together, and you have to be consistent with it. Some people come and they just want to do a week as a new business, but if their brand's not already known and they're only going to do a week, it's not really going to pay out in the end. So those are just things to keep in mind. I do apologize. I don't apologize, but that's what I got. So I would love to do, like, if you have questions or if we want to have a discussion, I'm all ears.
I love the flexibility, like that,
Yeah.
that you keep consistently mentioned, because branding and marketing is
She's
important
a-
to have. It's important to have that consistent message,
Mhm.
and if a company is already passionately involved, obviously in their own, red tail or whatever business, and it's like, we know what we want, we know what we want to say, but how do we get it across in radio? And to have a salesperson that isn't just a salesperson, but actually can work with your marketing plan is very key.
Mhm. You guys have any questions?
No, I'll just add, that was great. Like when I did it this summer, I felt it worked amazing. And like you said, to add to the tactics that we already had
Yeah.
going, it was one of those things where people were like, we heard you everywhere. You're
Yeah.
everywhere that week,
Yeah.
So it really helped gain traction, and it did pay out, because I think we had over 200 people at that
Wow.
event. So
That's amazing. Yeah. Anyone online?
You guys got any questions? Katie's here at your
All ears.
disposal.
If I don't know, I'll find someone who does know.
There you go. Ross, were you gonna say something?
No?
It's Ross's birthday, by the way,
Happy
everybody.
birthday, Ross.
Just telling the world, cause you know, we're sort of on radio right now.
Thank you. No, I don't have any questions. This was a very interesting refresher for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Katie's left her contact information there, and you will be getting these slides to review later.
Yeah, let me know.
Thank you very much for popping by, and we'll see you again probably in the new year at the Small Business Center here in Belleville.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Katie.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I see one chat. Thank you. Thank you.
Aw. So CP, that was pretty easy.
Yeah. I just feel bad it was short, but.
No, it's perfect.
Short and sweet.
Yeah, exactly.
Drag it on.
Thanks for popping by, Ian.
You're the advertising person?
Well, I'm marketing. I'm not gonna do it all.
I was talking to